Now, I'd like to call the Parks Board meeting for Monday, April the 23rd to order. Any citizens' comments, sir?
No, sir, there's no citizens' comment.
Thank you, sir, very much. I hope we've had a chance to look over the minutes, approval of the minutes. Mr. Pike's first, Ms. Ted second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All against, nobody. All right. Under old business, Volunteer Park Phase 2 concession building update. I'm assuming that would be Mr. Lamar.
Am I on? Okay, good. We are getting closer to formalizing and finalizing all the monies involved. Go to the Finance Committee tomorrow night, 6:30. It's on the agenda, and then it goes to the Board of Men Aldermen tomorrow night for their approval. And again, it's been time sensitive for the last 5 or 6 weeks just because of Dowdle Construction, who was low bid on it. It's $731,000. Their deadline to accept or reject the bid was April 16th. Well, that, as you know, that day's gone and passed. They've extended that date till after the meeting of this week, and so they're good with that. The sewer line bid came in at $102,000. The AC came in at $52,000. So bottom line is we're $410,000 over the $500,000. So actually, the concession stand is $910,000. State's giving us $500,000. So we're going to get a $1 million building for $400,000. If you want to put it in simple terms, because I'm a simple kind of guy. So that goes to the board tomorrow night, and then the state will give us the final approval on the $500,000. They have not actually given the final grant approval until the Board of Men Aldermen approves the entire contract. So everything's kind of hinging on tomorrow night, and they didn't have a Finance Committee meeting last month in April, and last in March because of spring break. And so we've been waiting a couple extra weeks, but I think everything's on track to go, and then we can kind of put it to bed until the contract can kind of get things in line and we can get lined up to move. So it's moving along, and I don't think we'll have a glitch tomorrow night. It's gone to capital projects twice. It's gone to public works once. It's gone to you guys. You've heard about it. And so all the committees that need to hear about it have heard about it, except the Finance Committee, and they're the last ones tomorrow night. So.
Very nice. Questions? Just for those that are listening, where is Volunteer Park located?
That's Arrowhead.
Thank you.
The park in front of Knox Doss.
Oh, okay. Oh, you just Arrowhead.
I think there's some sarcasm in there, but I'm not sure.
I just didn't recognize the name Volunteer.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mary's Magical Playground. Mr.
Okay, I'm
Lamar.
back up again. Going great. If you've been by there or seen it from the bypass, that thing is really growing up. Of course, the weather, like a lot of other things these gentlemen to my left will tell you about in a minute, the weather has hampered some of the construction, but most of the moving parts, and there's so many moving parts. We've got the sidewalks going in, the remainder of the playground equipment is going in, the grass, the turf has been delivered, the poured in place in one section will be done, the last section in probably April. The swing, I'm understanding, Keith, is in Memphis, headed here in a truck. It came from Australia on a boat to San Diego, from San Diego to Memphis on a train, and it's on a truck, flatbed somewhere between here and there. It'll be the only swing of its kind in the United States for handicapped kids to swing an entire handicapped wheelchair with a child or person in it. So it's pretty neat.
Very nice.
Again, we just, this water fountain came in. We just ordered some picnic tables and benches today. In fact, I was on the phone with David Jones as I was walking up here. The special needs baby changing table, the request that Rachel had that lost her child, that lost Mary, was that she couldn't put a 14-year-old on one of those plastic changing tables in the restroom. So I said, you find one you like and we'll buy it. Well, that's what she did. She went to Vanderbilt University, found stainless steel one they use in the hospitals at Vanderbilt, and we ordered it, and it came in yesterday? Today. Came in this morning, and we're going to start installing that in the ladies' restroom at the hockey restroom. So it's coming along great. We'll keep you updated. They're looking for ribbon cutting mid-June.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Is what their target date is. Could be third week in June, could be first week in June, but somewhere around 10th, 12th, 15th, they're looking at, and I would love to everybody there that in the Parks Board been instrumental in this thing. It's going to be one of a kind. It's like he said last Parks Board meeting. It's going to put us on the map. It's a lot of people from a lot of places are going to come to see this. So it's been great.
Question? Several of us were, when they had the groundbreaking, several of us went there, and I was so impressed with the number of people involved in that. And it, it wasn't so much the people, but you could see that every person there with those shirts on, even whatever, they seem to be so dadgum proud, and they ought to be. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Well, the group, the ladies group that's got it together, that's moving behind this is really, I'm going to tell you what, they have done a fantastic job.
Yes,
I
they
just can't imagine. In fact, when Carol Ernest called me today for the third time, I said, Carol, I'd just rather talk to your husband, okay? I'd rather not talk to you, because every time you call, you want something. And she just laughed. They're very, very positive, and they're just, they've got a mission they're on. And part of the problem I need to allude to is the money that we're spending, they're spending, has grown tremendously just because of the response. It started out as a $500,000 playground and, 8,000 square feet. Now it's 15,000, 16,000 square feet, and the sidewalk's grown, the number of picnic tables, and everything has just gone. But in the end, it's going to be a good project, and the money's going to be worth spending it on. So, thank you.
Only downside was I wanted to drive the backhoe, and they wouldn't let me get on that. So, but that's okay. I drove it later on that night. Under old business, inline hockey update.
Stephen, you want to give them kind of an update where we are with hockey, please?
Hockey is up and going. They're playing games. They've even had a tournament since the new surface was put down. We do have a few little small issues with the surface, but nothing unexpected for a new install. I mean, the company's working with us. It's where the temperature's been up and down, that floor wants to contract, but matter of fact, they're coming this week to work on a few little issues, but other than that, everything's been going great.
Outstanding. Questions? I'd like to check the minutes on the shortest Parks Board meeting we've ever had.
Maybe tonight.
Could be right now, as a matter of fact. We could do it. Nothing under new business. We'll move right along to staff reports. Does anyone have Mrs. Hamlin's report?
I've got a few notes for that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Excuse me. She's still taking applications for the summer employment. If you want to work the summer camps, she's taking those until April 25th. Got to be 16 years or older. Just call the office, 822-3898, or come by and pick up an application. Taking sign-ups for the Summer Fantastics and Kids Clubs. Again, we're changing locations this year because of some work over at Whitten Elementary. And again, I want to thank that principal at Merle Hyde Magnet School. He's doing a good job over there. And thanking him for letting us use that facility. The special needs baseball has begun. They're playing on Friday nights and some Saturday mornings. They go through May 19th. And then the special needs kickball begins May the 7th and runs, I think, for a couple months there. So if you got any questions about those programs, the public can be glad to call the Parks office at 822-3898. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Maintenance Supervisor, Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over at Veterans Park, our 3 baseball and softball fields, we've hired a company to come in with a specialized piece of equipment that will cut the edge off the lip where the infield dirt meets the grass. Over time, that gets a hump, and then when it rains, it causes the whole water. They actually came in Friday and did that, and I went over today after all this rain, and it's amazing the difference it made. I mean, there's hardly any water standing on the field, which really help out staff and help these tournaments out not get delayed or even canceled. We've replaced the bulbs that were out on all of our sports fields at all of the parks, and we do this twice a year. Usually try to do it in the spring and the fall, try to cover the seasons. We've been on pothole repair at all of our parks, filling those in here lately, and like to say thanks to Trace at Public Works. He lets us come over and get coal patch from Public Works, no cost, to help us out, so appreciate that. And the grass mowing's in full swing, and just been really busy with tournaments about every weekend. and the rain with the tournaments makes it tough.
Is the rain putting you behind at all?
It does on the grass, but the guys do really good when it gets dry to jump in there and get us caught back up.
Question? Thought I saw Mr. White reaching there. Oh, good, that's good. Parks Manager, Mr. Long?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Babe Ruth 13, 15-year-old league, practice is ongoing for them, and their games will begin next Tuesday, and they'll play through the month of May and into the middle of June. Sotan baseball, they have games and practice ongoing. Got a lot of makeup games still to get covered. Same thing with middle school baseball league. Civitan flag football, they have a bunch of games keep getting rained out on them as well, and I think the plan is to get some of those made up this Friday and over the weekend. Hendersonville Soccer Club, games and practice are ongoing. Tennessee United Soccer Club, their spring tournament did get rained out, so that was unfortunate. We try to get it played. I think they got one game in, and then it fell out from under us, so we had to call that. Summer Baseball League, the registrations closed on Friday, and we are now currently taking late registrations for 3 of our divisions, and 1 of our divisions is already filled up for that. So that's looking positive there. I think our number's a little bit up from last summer. Summer Men's Basketball League, that registration closes tonight at midnight, and then we'll take late registrations through the end of this week. Spring tennis lessons, I think we have 1 age group still open. The other 2 are full already, and we'll take those till Friday. And then summer tennis lessons, those registrations opened today, and they'll go through May 30th.
Thank you, sir. Question, Mr. Pike?
Not a question. I just wanted to say how good it looked. I drove through the park the other night when they were playing the flag football, and it's really nice to see that area populated in a time when it's not. It just, there's a lot of people over there, and so.
Very nice. Assistant Director, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr.
AKA
Chairman.
Ms. Hamlin.
I'm glad to see you back this month, Mr. Chairman. We missed you last month, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Adult softball started Wednesday night. They've been playing a couple of weeks. The kickball has started. They've also played 2 weeks. Had a little injury Friday night. Had to call the ambulance. Possible fractured ankle in kickball. So explain that when you go to work the next day. So issue there. Senior men ongoing. Of course, they've had the last 2 Mondays rained out, so we're working on makeups for those guys. Lacrosse is getting towards the end of their season. Part of they got a couple more. They had a game rained out today. Going to try to make that up on Wednesday. Hockey's ongoing. Surface is very nice. Work at a couple of spots in the corners, but everything else is very nice. Fast pitch ongoing. Again, makeups here and there. You see there's some tournaments the next 2 or 3 weekends. For whatever reason, it sort of falls in a pattern. It seems like it's raining on Saturday and or Sunday for the last 5 weeks. So we've really fought weather issues with the tournaments. Appreciate Civitan's communication with us on the tournaments, with Jimmy with the concession stand, with David Winter with scheduling, talking to those people. So it's been a lot of communication. We played as much as possible the last 5 weekends. So a lot of people coming to Hendersonville. A couple of things from the special events. Dave may talk about the new person, or you want me to? We actually have a new person hired for the special events coordinator, Andrea Wise. She's tentatively going to start in June. She's coming from out of state, so she's got some moving situations and finding a place to live and so forth. So glad to have her on board, and looking forward to her to get here so she can be glad to take care of the special events that we've got. A lot of meetings for special events. That's part of it, a lot of logistics. But again, we're glad to have her starting in June. Looking forward to her coming and getting started and part of the group. The Summerfest, that's a chamber event that's going to be next month down at Saunders Ferry. Been meeting with them a couple of times. This is the first time they've done this. And and we're helping out as much as we can with some logistics part of it. Going to be a nice event. Got some logistics with parking, with the police was there today, trying to work that out, and we're helping out with some, porta-johns and some lighting and so forth like that. But it's going to be a good event, first year, just going to see how it goes, and I think very positive for the city. The Raise the Praise that you all approved in the fall, that's June the 2nd. We've met with them. That's the group, if you remember, is coming down from Portland. They've been up there for about 9 or 10 years and coming down here. So, again, sort of a wild card because we're not sure how many people to expect. We're planning for the best we can. There is also a softball and baseball tournament that weekend, so we're still trying to work out logistically how we're going to park everybody that Saturday night. So, doing the best we can. I did talk them out of, we're not going to do fireworks. They had brought up fireworks, and I said probably wouldn't be a good idea the first year. So we're going to do away with that. But it's going to be more of a concert than it is a festival the first year. Food trucks, 3 or 4 different bands. I think they're going to try to get with Jimmy about opening a concession stand. Okay, good. And that part of it. And they're very good to work with. It just trying to get the parking so they can park in part of the lot, block it off, and just so forth. But again, we'll see how it goes the first year and see what happens. We'll bring it back if we need to have some issues for next year. The Honeybee, we're meeting with them. That's still on set for the fall. We're going to meet with them tomorrow afternoon, try to work on some of that. That's basically going to be on the lacrosse field, as we talked about. So that's what I contained in that part of it. And again, there's a lot of baseball coming up the next 3 to 4 weekends, and then in July we've got a couple of huge tournaments, as you all know about, the World Series, the Game 7 World Series, and then the back-to-back weeks with the PGF. So, yeah, and then also Hendersonville High School softball will be hosting the softball district tournament. Usually the first round is the higher seed, and then they'll bring the rest, all 8 teams will come here for a week. The baseball, I believe, the higher seed gets to host it, and chances are Hendersonville High School baseball will be the higher seed on their half of the bracket, and so they'll probably get to host also. So we should be a good busy week, probably the first part of May, for the district tournaments. Thank you, sir.
Questions? From what state is Ms. Weiss coming from?
Ms. Wise is coming from the state of Ohio.
Good, okay, as long as it's not Alabama, that's all right. Good enough. Good enough, that's fine. Interim, Parks Director, Mr.
Yeah.
Lamar.
Right. And I say Keith and Dallas and I interviewed all the candidates, and we had some pretty good choices, and she comes with pretty good qualifications from the Chamber of Commerce in Columbus, Ohio, the State Chamber of Commerce. She's working at a college now in admissions. Very good young go-getter, and she's excited about coming this way, and been wanting to move to Nashville for quite a while, and visit here a few times. And when she saw the application stuff online, she came, and she's excited about coming. So we're excited about having her. A couple things. The concrete crew for the Public Works, I can't say enough about what they're doing in Mary's Magical Place. I didn't mention them a minute ago, but they're going to do all the sidewalks. And that was one of the small ticket items that we thought in the beginning, the little sidewalk around the outside. Now it's become a huge 5-foot sidewalk with berms and all kinds of, so it's become a major undertaking. And Trace and the Public Works concrete crew, excellent. They're going to stick with it until the end. They may get behind some other city projects, which I might get in trouble for, but that's the way it goes. We're in the middle, too, of a job questionnaire for the entire city, so they've taken all the staff. We did a questionnaire about our jobs and how everything fits in. They're going to do a reclassification possibly this year, just to make sure that everybody's where they're supposed to be in the pay plan and that kind of thing. We did have an injury in the park a couple weeks ago. We didn't find out about it until Friday was the first time we'd heard someone had fallen down and evidently had broken a shoulder and had some serious injuries that we didn't know about and happened 2 weeks ago. So in fact, I just got a text message about somebody. I said, I called baseball coach and said, give me a name of somebody that saw it. We got to start backtracking on what happened, okay? So, because somewhere down the road, an insurance company will be looking for us, okay? And, I have no idea what the circumstances were or where she fell or anything like that, but I'll get to the bottom of it and find out. Last thing is the budget. This was the draft that you have in front of you is exactly what I gave the mayor last month, gave Ron Minix. The mayor and I haven't met, Ron Minix and I haven't met, and the budget workshop was postponed until this Wednesday. So really, the only discussion we've had is with my staff, and I've had a little bit with Ron Minix about some things. So this is kind of real preliminary at this point. I don't know where everybody else's budget's going to be. I heard that it's everybody's budgets has gone up drastically. Ours has not. If you can see the pencil, I'll start on page 3 with the pencil version of the different items, like 80,000 went to 85 and 15 went to 20, and some of the overtime and things like that. Most of our line items kind of stayed the same. A few went up, a few $1,000s, not much. Just some of the ticket items that needed to go up. Again, not too much in that first line item. Had one of the Parks Board gentlemen asked me about 6 from the bottom on page 3 that's highlighted, 63,856 with a big question mark next to it. I don't know what that's for yet. Okay, I'm backtracking on that. It's because we only had $7,500 in there, so that's going to take a chunk of change out of some other line item somewhere. So I need to get with Ron on that. I will report back to you and let you know exactly what that is. But the other line items are pretty much in line with what our operating budget is. The next page on 4, we have a couple of ticket items that I just want to run by you and talk about because it seems to be an ongoing issue. Down at the bottom, 964, electric building. If you see the second column, it says the original budget at $150,000, and then we actually spent $191,000 the year before. Okay, so and this has been an ongoing problem. When I was director before I retired, I put $130,000 in the budget for electricity. We spent $142. I'd put $145 the next year. We spent $155. It's like we haven't caught up and got even on electricity in probably 10 years. We've been over budget every year. There's no way we can. Now, the more events, the more things we have going on. I mean, we spend a lot of money on events and lights in the park, which is fine. So you see old Dave stuck $200,000 in there, and see if we can catch it this year. Okay, try to catch and at least break even somewhere down the road. Water, same thing with the water utilities. Been over that, just a few thousand each year. We've had a couple leaks last year. Hopefully we don't have any, but we never know what that's going to be. So the bottom line on the operating budget, it's pretty standard. Just went up on a few items. The next page, 5, gives you the assets and capital projects. And we just have to list for them what we think we're going to get and buy with some of these monies. Small tools and supplies, $6,000. $1,000 to $7,000. You're looking at bleachers, benches, weed eaters, blowers, chainsaw, just miscellaneous equipment that we might buy down there for over $1,000. And then down on the 645, over $7,000. We talked about mowers, gators, golf carts, trailers, new truck, used trucks, just the major equipment, the bigger type equipment. We talked about lease of mowers. We talked about leasing of equipment. We don't know if that's viable. Something they're doing in police cars possibly. I think Brandon did look at it with lawn mowers this year or so ago. I don't know if it's a viable option or not. So we're going to talk about that, hopefully in the budget workshop. Getting down to the bottom where it really gets kind of crazy. Lights for Volunteer Park, $200,000 to $250,000 to light that park over there, the 2 soccer fields existing right now. $200 is the low end of just the metal halide, what's in the park right now. The $250 is the high end LED, which is down in soccer now, which we probably need to do in the long run. It's worth spending the money in the front end to get it really lit well. They last longer, they're brighter, they're just a lot better lights. We're spending $9,000 in the spring and $9,000 in the fall for those temporary lights. So this $18,000 a year. So it won't take a couple of years, 10 years plus or minus to pay for them, and then they'll be permanent. Down there, we got lights replacement for football field and field 1 at Drakes Creek. Lights down there are awful. Jimmy knows. I mean, he could tell the tale. My staff and the people that are down there, those lights are the last ones to be replaced. When I was here for 35 years, it was probably year 2 or 3 that they put those in. So they're 30 plus years old, which are, I think they had a 25-year lifespan. So we are way past the lights on the football field of field 1. Same thing, 275 to 325, depending on metal halide versus LED. But that's for both football and field 1. The cellular light program for soccer lighting, which is the app that turns the lights on and off, we're going to try to separate that. I think that, right, Russ has it on his Or does he not? Go ahead and,
Yeah, we're still working on that. Russ actually has it on his individual field, but we're actually pricing it to get it on all the soccer fields. And the way it's set up is each location where you turn lights on and off, it has to be a separate location in this app. So it's just, like for softball, on the softball quad, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is one spot on the app. And so it's doable. It's just, we can afford the pricing to get it connected to what we already currently have. That's the plan, is to do all the soccer, and then eventually do, maybe even look at tennis later on down the road too. So we can actually, from remotely, turn lights on and off for the whole park.
hopefully, and Jim Waters made a comment in the Public Works meeting. He had a great point, that sometimes he goes by there at midnight and the lights are still on, and, you know, the police get busy and they have a call at the end of the shift at 11 o'clock, and they get called and the next shift doesn't get there, and something happens, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes the lights are still on. You go by Veterans Park at 10:30 and there's nobody there and the lights on. This way, just like tonight, let's say we started playing games at 6 o'clock and the bottom fell out at 7:30. Keith or Dallas can shut the lights off remotely from the phone. Boom, lights are off, we're done. So we don't leave them on. The police don't have to worry about shutting them off. So hopefully this will save energy and money and lighting down the road. So hopefully we can get a price on that. We're getting that from Doug Reynolds right now.
Maybe that's,
Go ahead, Mike.
that could be the part of the answer of correcting that electricity, or helping go a long way to
I
correcting
have no doubt.
electricity.
I have no doubt, because, you know, again, and it's great that the police go shut them off, because I wouldn't want staff to have to get down there late by themselves, and we used to do that, and it's just not safe in this day and time with things going on. And so I just feel better about the police doing it, but I feel even better that these guys over here got the app, and I don't know how to use it. I don't want to know, I don't want to learn, I don't have anything about it, okay? They got it.
God's sake, don't give it to us.
That's right. He won't give it to you. You stole a tractor. He won't give it to you.
I'll turn the lights off in Gallatin.
The next page 6, special events. Of course, that's, the majority of that is the 4th of July fireworks, and then some other rodeo, fishing rodeo, and some other events that we get T-shirts for and do some other items. Special projects that I listed for next year could be inline hockey paving, which is the parking lot in inline. Now, along with that, we've even had something else raised that we probably have to add parking when we put Mary's Magical Place in there. And then hockey is up. They're bigger than they've been in 10 years, I think, since the flood. They're bigger than they've ever been. So they start growing more. Mary's Magical Place turns into what we think it probably will. We have softball, baseball tournament down there. That we're going to have to add parking down there somewhere. So tennis court resurfacing, we probably have to. We're in a cycle with one of those. Upgrading existing buildings, repairs. We have that as we get bigger and older. We just have to repair and replace. Paving, miscellaneous stuff. And we talked about this. Stephen and I talked about this in several years ago, before he even came on board, was putting a curb up at the hill by Field 7 going back to soccer, so when that water flows from the railroad track and sheet flows all the way through the park, we can deter some of it and keep the fields from flooding. Upgrade the tennis restrooms. That was in last year's budget, didn't get done. I want to make sure it gets done this year. One of the aldermen is very concerned that it wasn't finished, and we just need to get to that. We're talking about curb for parking lots at Volunteer Park, and some paving and miscellaneous stuff in the park as far as that.
It's over there ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, all right, yeah. Now, and then the professional services, the 824, there's another question mark, because that's where it came into play on the other line item. The original $7,500 is for what Keith and Dallas used for all their background checks. So the professional services was background checks. So the other $68,000, $63,000, that's what I'm investigating to find out where it came from or where it has gone. So, again, I'll report back to you on that. New employee, we don't know what we're going to do with Beatty Farm, Beatty property. I put a question mark there. That's on page 7. Park worker 2, to a heavy equipment operator. We may need to want to bump some of those people up down there at the park. Possibly full-time maintenance position for irrigation specialist and/or another, again, a crew chief leader or something. So, again, until we have a workshop Wednesday night and kind of see where the budget falls out, that's kind of where we are there. Grants on things like that, we can't apply for another grant since we have one in the works. The lady, the Friends of Indian Lake that are purchasing the Beatty property, the lower end, called me last week, and there was a grant available to them. They had 3 days to write it, and she wanted me to do it, but we can't write a grant because we have one open. And so I told her I appreciate the invitation, but we couldn't do it, and they would have to do it on their own as a 501c3. So, but anyway, just a lot going on at this point. Busy, rainy spring, and staff's doing a great job. And part-time is getting a little more part-time, but still not all the way there. But it's good. It's all good.
I like it.
It's good.
Questions? All right, round table, Mr. Head.
I just want to say that app works really well. We have
Look at him bragging.
we have already been able to, I'd say, probably save a lot of time with the lights, because like we get done, we can send Keith or Dallas or Steve a text, hey, we're done early. Lights get cut off 3 hours early versus, and there's also been a couple of times where it's gotten cloudy and dark and we needed the lights, and hey, could we get lights? We're going to be playing a couple hours later, and boom, 10 minutes later. So it's a great use of money and investment.
That's got to save money. Got to save money. Thank you, Mr. Ted. Mr. White?
Dave or Stephen or somebody, is there any thought to some kind of maintenance facility out at Arrowhead, or what goes on out there? Is it kind of something you just take out what you need, or?
Right now, we're hauling out there, but about midway through that build of that part, we did kind of talk about that. It's at some time in the future we could see that happening, having a building out there, maybe even having a few staff members out there, kind of have it split through the city, just to help. Because I tell you, it surprised you when you leave Drake's Creek to go to volunteer and come back. You don't think it's that far, but all those red lights on Indian Lake. I mean, it takes a few minutes to make that trip. So I can see it happening in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we plan on putting a maintenance building probably in the next phase, because we're going to have some equipment out there. And Stephen's right, we're looking at some split crews, a crew that's doing Memorial and Saunders Ferry in that way, and then a crew that does Veterans Park and Volunteer Park, and kind of split crews and crew chiefs, and, Stephen being the maintenance supervisor over everybody, but we'll have to have crews at different locations. Now, hauling the stuff back and forth is we've had to buy a new trailer to haul some of the stuff. Haul the 2 new mowers. The trailer we had would not haul them, and the other trailer we had was too steep to get them up on there. The decks would hang going up, so we had to sell a trailer and buy a trailer and have it modified to get the mowers where they need to be, so it would be safe to be on the road. I said, we're not putting them on the road until it's safe, and so we fixed it. But yeah, hauling them back and forth right now is the way we're doing it. Hopefully it'll get better.
Mr. Richard? Mr. Frank? Mr. Pike?
I just want to say one thing. I want to commend I know we say it all the time, but you can never hear enough of it. I want to commend the whole Parks Department staff, indoor staff, outdoor staff, Dave coming back, in a somewhat trying time to get this back where it needs to be. It takes it doesn't take as much work to tear it down as it takes to build it back up. And I just wanted to commend y'all for that.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. Mr. Bowler?
Nothing for me.
Ms. Bourget? Yes, good.
About the light bulbs in the park, you're looking at halide versus the LEDs. LEDs save electricity, right? And then I was thinking, can you retrofit the existing lights with LED bulbs like you do in your home? Or does that not work?
We have asked that question. I believe the wiring has to be changed out. So, I mean, I guess other than the pole, it would have to be a complete change out other than the pole. I mean, you'd save money that way, but yes, there would be have new wires be put in. Yeah.
Just a couple things. Number one, Dave, I appreciate you having these Parks Board meetings. I appreciate your staff being here, because I've kind of sat here and noticed the last couple of times there have been questions that we have, that these people have asked them that's been very, very, very helpful. So I appreciate y'all being here. Second thing, I know that it is spring, but I took a couple hours on Saturday to just visit our parks, and they are spectacular. They are spectacular. I went at the most used times. I've said it before here that I never thought that this meeting was watched that much, but it's watched by a lot of people. And it would behoove everybody on one Saturday morning, not everybody at one time, but to go down to our parks and just pay attention to what these people have done. We sure appreciate you guys, so that's good. All right, I need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Pike, second, Mr. White. All in favor say aye. Aye. And out of here. Good job.
Thanks, guys.